So far, we've looked at Ozone as a plugin within a host DAW. It can also be used as a standalone application, so let's take a look at it. The first thing to notice, there is now a set of transport controls at the top of the display. There's also an area to load audio files into. To load a file, either click on the plus icon or select Import Audio File from the File menu, or alternatively, drag and drop a file onto the Ozone window. They'll all load into their own tab. Click on a tab to switch between files. Each tab is completely independent and can have its own modules and setup as required. Files can be reordered by click-dragging a File tab into the required position. Remove files by clicking on the Delete icon, while the file you wish to remove is the Active tab. The transport controls are standard CD-style controls that need little explanation. The playback follows playhead setting affects what happens when playback is stopped using the play button or spacebar. If it is lit, the playhead will stop at the current point in the song. If unlit, the playhead returns to the last selected position. The transport window displays the current selected track number and the current playhead position in minutes, seconds and milliseconds. The total time of all loaded files is displayed at the far right. Beneath the WAV file display area, you'll see that regions of songs are automatically detected and displayed as alternating light and dark regions. These areas can be quickly navigated to by clicking on them. Loop points are automatically set up. The loop function can be turned off by clicking on the loop icon, and loop regions adjusted by click-dragging on either end of the region points. There are also special file end markers at either end of the WAV display. Click-drag on the lower circle at the bottom of these points to set start and end points. The circle at the top can be click-dragged to set fade in and fade out points. The type of fade can be changed by right-clicking over the fade line graphic. Once you've set up the system with a set of files and settings, it can be saved as a project. Find that option in the File menu. Individual module use is identical to the plugin version, but in the standalone version there's also the option to use other plugins on your system. To do that, click on the Click to Insert module as if inserting one of Ozone's own modules, and then click on the Plugin tab to access other plugins on your system. The plugin loads in its own interface and a tile is added to the module browser to represent it. Once you have a signal chain of modules and settings arranged for one file, you can easily transfer that to others by saving it as a preset, switching to the next file and loading that preset as a starting point. We looked briefly at the dither options in the master section earlier, and if bit depth is being reduced, these settings are important when exporting audio from the standalone. Dithering is a term applied to the process used to minimize the level of distortion when reducing bit depth. This distortion is produced by the system, which truncates the least meaningful bits as bit depth is being reduced. It's very low level, but a build-up of it can colour the final mixdown. Dither is low-level noise that is introduced by making the truncating process random. This has the effect of eliminating the ordered distortion, and hence the distortion that is present is less audible. Dither should only be applied once, only if reducing bit depth, and always as the last process of a mix. Adjust the settings here as required. The dither setting can either be turned on now or it can be switched on in the export dialog. To export audio, select that option from the File menu. Click on the Current Track tab to export only the audio file in the currently selected tab, or the All Tracks tab if exported separate files for each audio file loaded in the current project. In this dialog, tracks can be named, the export format selected from the drop-down selector, and if relevant, the bitrate set. Remember, you can preview the MP3 and AAC settings using the codec options in the main program window. A path for the finished output file can also be selected. Finally, if relevant, sample rate and bit depth can be set. Check Enable Dither if you want dithering to be applied. Click on Export to complete the process. And that's a standalone version of Ozone7 where we can master a whole album as one project Then export it into the formats that we wish, applying dithering if necessary.